Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a really significant life transition, something many of you might be going through or maybe see coming down the road.
That's right. We're talking about when the kids leave home, the empty nest.
Exactly. And instead of just focusing on, the quiet house, we want to dig into how this can actually be this amazing opportunity.
An opportunity to reconnect, really rediscover your marriage.
Yeah. We've been looking at some really interesting expert takes on this whole stage.
And it's true, that initial quiet, it can feel a bit like a void, can't it? And it might be that moment where you and your partner kind of look at each other and realize, wow, so much energy went into the kids.
Right, like maybe you drifted a little without even noticing.
It happens.
Yeah.
But the key thing we found is that this period, it's a real chance to actively rekindle things.
Okay, let's unpack that feeling a bit. It's sort of like you've been, I don't know, co-pilots on this long flight Parenthood.
Yeah.
Totally focused on getting through the turbulence.
Yeah, good analogy.
And then suddenly you land.
Yeah.
The passengers are gone. And you turn to your co-pilot and it's like, oh, right?
Yeah.
It's just us now.
Exactly that. And, historically, this empty nest syndrome term, it always sounded so negative, like loss, loneliness.
Yeah, definitely carried that weight.
But actually, a lot of the modern thinking, the research, it's much more positive. Take Dr. Karen Fingerman, a psychologist. Her work is fascinating.
What did she find?
Well, she did these long studies tracking couples over time as the kids left. And what she saw was that the daily stress just dropped significantly.
Less running around, less worrying about homework.
All of that. And with that stress reduction, couples actually had the bandwidth, the energy to reinvest in their emotional connection.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for people listening. Her research points to increased marital satisfaction. That feels counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? But think about it. A huge chunk of your mental, your emotional energy for maybe 20 years has been kids,
Yeah.
school, activities, just raising them.
The sheer logistics of it all.
Right. And when they become independent, that constant demand, it eases up. It genuinely creates time, but also, crucially, mental space.
Space to actually turn your focus back to each other consciously.
Precisely. You're not just reacting to the next kid-related fire drill.
So it's like some of our sources described it almost like an untouched canvas.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's this blank space in your day, your week.
Yeah. A space you can now choose how to fill together without those immediate parenting demands dictating everything.
But I wonder, could that sudden abundance of time together also be a challenge, going from chaos to quiet?
That's a really sharp point. Yes. Well, the untouched canvases sounds great. For some couples, it might initially feel a bit awkward or confronting.
You lose the old routines.
Exactly. The routines built around the kids vanish. And suddenly having evenings, weekends open, it can feel strained. You might actually need to intentionally figure out, okay, what do we do now?
Right. It requires a conscious effort, not just assuming it'll happen. Now, speaking of effort and connection, one name that popped up a lot was Dr. Gary Chapman, the 5 love languages guy.
Ah, yes. Very relevant here.
How does his work fit into this empty nest phase specifically?
Well, Chapman's whole framework, it's super helpful because big life changes like this, they often shine a spotlight on any unmet emotional needs in the relationship.
Things that maybe got overlooked in the busy years.
Exactly. Over the years of raising a family, maybe you develop different ways of showing love, or maybe what makes you feel loved changed, and you just didn't have the time or energy to really notice or talk about it.
So understanding if your partner needs, say, words of affirmation, or if you need quality time, that becomes more important now.
Crucial, I'd say. Actively learning and speaking each other's primary love language, whether it's those words, quality time, gifts, acts of service, physical touch. It's a powerful tool to reignite intimacy when the kids aren't the main focus anymore.
Give me an example.
Okay, say your partner's love language is acts of service, doing little things for them. During the busy parenting years, maybe those got lost in the shuffle or they were focused on the kids. Now, the absence of those small gestures might feel more noticeable, more significant.
Ah, I see. The background noise of family life goes down, so you hear the relationship signals much more clearly.
Perfectly put. The nuances become clearer.
So for everyone listening who's in this stage, or maybe heading towards it, what are some practical steps? Our sources laid out 5 key expert tips. Let's dive into those.
Absolutely. Tip number 1, and honestly this is foundational for any strong relationship, is reestablishing meaningful communication.
And this isn't just the who's taking out the bins. kind of talk, right?
No, no, this is deeper. It's about intentionally setting aside time for real conversations, talking about your dreams, maybe dreams you put on hold, your fears about this next stage, your plans for the future, individually and importantly as a couple.
And it's not just talking at each other. The sources really stressed active listening,
Yeah.
empathy,
Hugely important. Truly trying to hear your partner's perspective, understand their feelings before you jump in with your own stuff or try to fix it.
creating that safe space for honest talk.
That's the bedrock for this new chapter. Okay, tip number 2 builds right on that connection. Explore new activities together.
Okay, this sounds like fun. Injecting some novelty back in, like travel, hobbies, volunteering.
All of the above. The idea is share experiences. Why? Because they build new shared memories. They add fresh layers to your story together.
It gets you out of just being mom and dad.
Precisely. You connect in different ways outside those old roles. Trying something new, maybe something slightly challenging even, it sparks joy, creates laughter. It reminds you why you enjoyed each other's company before life got so complicated.
I read something interesting about that, like learning a new skill together. It actually does something in your brain.
Yes, we'll get to the dopamine effect later, but you're right. Tackling something unfamiliar together releases chemicals that create positive feelings, positive associations with your partner.
Cool. Okay, tip 3 is about looking back. Revisit old memories. I like this one, like digging out the relationship archives.
Exactly. Thinking about the early days,
Yeah.
what first drew you together,
Yeah.
looking at old photos, talking about first dates, big milestones, it can be really powerful.
It rekindles those initial sparks.
It can, yeah. It creates this strong emotional thread reminding you of the journey you've already shared and overcome together.
Nice. Okay, moving forward again, tip 4 is future focused. Set new goals. And this isn't just about individual goals, is it?
No, critically, it's about shared goals too. Collaborating on where you want to go next together. It gives
Yeah.
you direction, a renewed sense of purpose as a couple.
So this could be anything. Planning a big trip, finally doing that kitchen
And
renovation.
learning that language we mentioned, anything you look forward to and work towards as a team, it's unifying, energizing.
Okay, and the 5th expert tip. This one's crucial for everyone to hear. Seek support if you need it.
Yes, please remember this. There is absolutely zero shame in getting help navigating a big life change.
If things feel stuck or you're really struggling to reconnect.
Talking to a professional, a therapist, it can give you incredible insights, tools, strategies. Think of it as an investment, a proactive investment in your relationship's future health and happiness.
Makes total sense. Now, there were also a couple of what are sources called unconventional tips. I found these really interesting. First one, rediscover independence.
Yeah, sounds a bit odd at first, right? We're talking about connecting more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does pursuing your own stuff help the couple?
Well, the thinking is when you feel fulfilled and engaged in your own life, your own passions, hobbies, friendships, you bring that energy, that vibrancy back to the relationship.
So you're not relying on your partner for 100% of your happiness.
Precisely. It fosters mutual respect, reduces pressure, and actually makes the time you do spend together potentially richer because you both have things to share.
Okay, I can see that. The second unconventional tip was embrace technology. My first thought was more screen time. How does that help?
Right. But it wasn't about scrolling Instagram side by side. It was specifically about online communities, forums for empty nesters.
Ah, okay. Finding people going through the same thing.
Exactly. That sense of community, mutual support, sharing the ups, the downs, the wait, this happened to you too moments. It offers practical tips, insights, and just that feeling of you're not alone in this. You can learn from others on the same path.
That makes sense. Okay, and finally, there was that really interesting scientific bit you touched on earlier, the dopamine effect.
Yes, this is fascinating.
Explain how doing new stuff together actually hits us on like a brain chemistry level.
Okay, so research shows that when couples do things that are novel, new, exciting, maybe slightly adventurous together, their brains release dopamine.
And dopamine is the feel-good chemical.
It's linked to pleasure, reward, motivation, and significantly, it's strongly associated with those early stages of romantic attraction, that initial buzz.
Wow.
Mhm.
So by deliberately doing new stimulating things together,
You can essentially help reactivate some of that brain chemistry, those feel-good pathways that keep a relationship feeling fresh, exciting, alive. It's pretty cool.
it really is. Okay, so let's pull all this together for everyone listening, whether you're right in the thick of the empty nest or it's on the horizon.
Mhm.
What's the core message here?
I think the absolute fundamental takeaway is to try and reframe how you see the empty nest. It's really not an endpoint for your relationship.
Not the closing chapter.
No, it's a major turning point, absolutely. But one that holds huge potential for a new beginning, a different kind of beginning.
So it requires conscious effort, investing time, energy.
Definitely. Using some of these tips, the communication, the shared activities, looking back, planning forward, maybe even those unconventional ideas. If you actively invest, you genuinely have this opportunity to rediscover so much.
The joy, the companionship.
That deep connection that maybe got a bit buried under the demands of parenting.
It's about seeing the space not as emptiness, but as possibility, an open space you get to design together now.
Beautifully put. Possibility. A space for new experiences, a renewed focus on each other.
An opportunity for growth.
Huge opportunity for you as individuals and absolutely as a couple.
So as you navigate this, maybe exciting, maybe daunting, new journey, we really hope you can embrace the changes, be intentional, and just cherish the rediscovery with your partner.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought, something for you to really mull over. What parts of your relationship, or maybe just parts of life together, got put on the back burner? What did you not have time or energy for while raising the family? What are you, perhaps secretly or maybe openly, feeling excited to finally explore now that you have this new kind of time and focus together?